So what in the world happened? Oh, I know what happened. I got hacked. That's what happened. Tony Katz today. Radio show is about to begin. Just got the Master Blends 3 here is what we're smoking. So my Twitter feed got hacked yesterday. And I don't think here I changed the password for Twitter. And so therefore I'm not streaming to Twitter. There's still a show to do. Let's begin, right? Maduro is about to meet with a judge. I only can say, okay, because that's not the story. That he's going to get more justice in the United States than he ever gave any dissident in Venezuela. Well, the irony is not lost on me. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Find everything over at TonyKatz.com. Hope you had a wonderful new year. Hope you're ready to get back at it. Live streaming on the YouTube, youtube.com/Tony Katz. You should get over there immediately, if not sooner. It's the story of the capture of Maduro that has so many on the left so incredibly apoplectic. They're apoplectic because they're children. Now, that should be seen differently as an attack on people who are millennials or Gen Z, etc. No. We've seen enough old liberal white women, enough boomers to be a part of this group to know that this isn't about your age. This is about your intellectual heft and capacity. Actually believing somehow, somewhere on some magical planet that this communism still provides a value. You have people out there engaged in protest against the capture of Maduro, screaming no war for oil. God, the level of ignorance, the incredible level of ignorance. Does anybody even know what they mean when they say a war for oil? Is anybody aware of what they mean? We will go through it. But let's start with Maduro. Going back to when the Biden administration had a $25 million reward for his capture. Going back to the recognition that he was defying the will of the people. He was not elected, yet he stayed in power. Go back to his predecessor, the lowlife Hugo Chavez, who said of George Bush after speaking at the UN that I smell sulfur at this podium, as if George Bush was the devil, who expropriated company after company after company, took control of American oil interests in Venezuela, to which the Venezuelans profited, and took it for himself and led the people of Venezuela from being outrageously prosperous to eating pigeons in 2 decades. That's what communism does. And so we're clear, all those people protesting no war for oil while they're wearing keffiyehs are part of this red-green alliance. They are indeed communists. They're the worst of the worst. They favor death and destruction. They have no concepts that can actually provide a value as opposed to capitalism, which always provides a value. They're wrong, and they're the enemies of America. That's a harsh statement. But they are what they are. They're the enemy. The communists are the enemy. And this red-green alliance, which is the communists and the Islamists, looking forward and trying desperately to engage the destruction of Western civilization and American might and strength. That's the desire. That's the goal. That's what they're about. That's why they're in tandem. For what other reason is the communist playing dress up and wearing the keffiyeh, which is only and solely a sign of oppression? Come fight me on this. I'll debate this all day. They're not like us. They're not Americans like us. These Americans who want to see America fail, which is, of course, the question going into this midterm election. Do you want a future for America? Yes or no? That's the question. That is the only question. Do you want a future for your children? Do you want a future for your daughters? Do you want a future for society? Because if you let these lowlife commies take hold, You have none. And Mamdani proves this. Don't worry, I'll get into Mamdani's inaugural and his issues with rugged individualism. He believes in the warmth of collectivism. Dear God, this guy is going to smile as he starves your kids. But Tony, you can't talk like that. It all sounds so hyperbolic. Let's talk about no war for oil. Let's talk about this thing that was happening and that was occurring, where the lefties out there, they immediately took to the streets. They took to the streets to say no war for oil, and they were upset, and they were angry, and they were all the things that one could imagine. Do we understand what that means? Because I don't believe they do, because they are incredibly ignorant and short-sighted people. You'll notice that this is the third or fourth time I've said something derogatory about them. I have to figure out how not to curse on radio. Everything after that, I'm allowed to do. And since I'm not a guy who is going to engage in the foul language, I am the guy who's going to say very clearly, these people are fools and they're a danger to you, to society, and to your kids. They're a danger. It can't be said any other way. And when I say they not like us, I mean it. They are not like us. They don't believe in America's future. No war for oil. What in the world does that actually mean? No war for oil. Well, in the pseudo-intellectualism of their argument, what they mean is there is absolutely no reason whatsoever we should be engaged in a war action so we can control somebody's oil. That's imperialism. Let's start where we start here, just so you have all the tools at your disposal to be able to engage properly with these people who are out of their minds, and they may very well be your aunt, your uncle, your parents, your brother, your sister, boyfriend, girlfriend. I don't know. When Hugo Chavez took power, he engaged in expropriation. There's video out of there of him walking down streets. We expropriate there, we expropriate there. Now, of course, he's not doing it in English, but we're going to take control of all these buildings. We're going to take control of all these places. We're going to take control of all of these areas. When that happened, he took American hardware. He took what is rightfully property of the United States companies. Now, the communist doesn't accept this because the communist doesn't believe in personal property rights, but the communist is a holy damn fool, including Zohran Mamdani and everybody who ever supported him. But we should start there with that theft. Then we should recognize that the oil was not utilized for the benefit of the society of Venezuela. It was used for the benefit of Hugo Chavez and then Nicolas Maduro, not caring about the people. With Maduro's arrest, you could argue it's a drug charge, it's a gun charge. Capone was Capone and they got him for tax evasion. You could argue this is the same thing, but it has a much deeper meaning as well. What he's charged with versus what he's done. One could clearly state that there's an opportunity here for the people of Venezuela to be made whole, to have a better life. As a matter of fact, the people of Venezuela are celebrating, to which the leftists in the United States is outraged. How could you be celebrating? The leftist has to live through the policies that American liberals fantasize about. They play about. Remember, all of those protests that we saw at Columbia University, whatever, these are people playing dress up. They put on the keffiyeh and they pretend that they're being locked out and they have to stay in this building. And here's the administration. They won't even bring people water. Bring your own damn water. There's a bathroom. Go get some water. What's wrong with you? You have Uber Eats on your phone, but they're play acting like they're the poor people of Hamas, not of Gaza, not of people being slaughtered by Hamas. They play acted that they were Hamas because they have nothing they can do with their lives. They have no issues. They have no problems. There's nothing wrong going on with them. They have to pretend that they are outraged. And since they have been trained through their high school years and through their college years and through culture to hate America's existence and to hate Western civilization, anything that can be seen as oppressor, that's something they play with because that's the only thing that they know, and America has to be the oppressor in all cases. Maduro to them is not an oppressor. America is. But the people who have actually lived through it understand that the United States just did them a tremendous favor, and they are in the streets celebrating. Because 26 years of this hell was enough. All of these lefties in the United States, all of these Karens, all of these liberal white women, these terrible people, play actors, children. That's how I started. The oil will be sold, and the people of Venezuela will profit. A war for oil is not a bad thing. Let me say it again. A war for oil is not a bad thing. I'll say it one more time. There are a lot of wars. Oil is a big deal, and only children don't think so. The problem for them is, and maybe some other people haven't thought about it this way, what do we mean by a war for oil? What is it that we're referring to? One must understand Frederick Bastiat, the economist. Bastiat, with one of the something I talk about all the time to myself, is the idea of what is seen versus what is unseen. Now, a lot of us know this, and I guess an economist would engage it differently. And I don't want to say that my definition is pitch perfect, but I think is close enough for government work. What is seen and what is unseen, which another way could be said of opportunity cost, right? Somewhere amongst all of us, we have this basic concept of opportunity cost. And whether you're in business or not, if I do this, it means I don't have time to do that. If I put my money here, it doesn't mean I can put my money there. And you can apply it to business, apply it to life. If I buy this pair of sneakers, if I get these new Jordans, I can't afford this thing over here. If I spend my time playing these video games, I can't then do this other thing, right? That's a way to say it. You can't do it all. Opportunity cost is investing here means I can't invest over there. Bastiat discussed this as the seen and the unseen. What you see is America taking out Maduro, this thug, low-life scumbag. And what you see is the United States gaining access, control of this oil. And so the leftist, being of low mind and an unwillingness to engage this process that you and I are doing right now, because they're unwilling. They say, oh, so we're stealing the oil. What they do not see is that if we have the oil, China and Russia don't. This will anger the leftists. But for the rest of us, whether we're Republicans or conservatives or independents or moderates or agnostic politically, we could see how that's a good thing. Starving the Russians further, starving the Chinese of their much needed energy, preventing them from having a foothold in the Western Hemisphere, which is, of course, the conversation of the Monroe Doctrine coming back to life. We'll get to that. If we have control, then the Chinese and the Russians don't. So we took over another country to do that? No. We did, however, take out a leader who was not the guy who was the duly elected president. He wasn't the president, as Marco Rubio keeps pointing out, of Venezuela, but he was controlling the country and he was allowing drugs to be brought into our country, and he had to be stopped. And yes, the president has precedent that allows him to make this move. I don't argue that there can't be a constitutional conversation to take place. Is this something that requires a declaration of war? We've brought it up here repeatedly. We discussed it. We're not afraid of the subjects. But the left is, because they'll scream about that and not see the precedent. I believe we can go to Noriega and engage that. They won't see the better life for the Venezuelans, which they are celebrating themselves, and they won't see the move here geopolitically because they don't have the capacity for thought. It's time bandits. They're devoid the ravages of thought. But we are not. There's a lot to what took place over the weekend, including skill and precision that is hard to fathom. The communists are always wrong. The communists are always dangerous. The communists are always deadly. And the communists always have to be thwarted everywhere at all times, including right here in the United States. The taking of Maduro, the more I think about it, the more okay I am with it. And what it has allowed creates great opportunity. I'll have more on this. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back. Good to be with you. And so this is the view of the studio I always wanted to give. So this is it. This is the whole thing from corner to corner. So I'm in one corner, and back there's another corner. That's some paperwork I have on the desk. Don't look at that. Those are original World War I bonds posters, like buy a war bond. So that's what those are right there, right back there. So I've had those for a while. This is the newest. Oh, there it is. This is the newest company. This is Oak and Iron Supply. I'll be making that announcement in another week or so. The table is where we have meetings, then it flips over and it can be a poker table. And then that is not those are just chairs in the back. I got those from Home Goods. And so you can have a seat right there. So I don't think we're going to be having any kind of studio audiences anytime soon. I don't visualize it at the moment. But I will get into the hacking. I will get into the hacking. Greg, excuse me, just got a little choked up there. Greg, if you have no sound, I don't know what to say. That is everybody else can hear the show. And they're like, my God, Tony, you sound so sexy. Thank you. You shouldn't have said that. Also, don't forget, get your tickets. Get your tickets. Trump 1 year later, tickets.tonykatz.com. It's going to be amazing. Amazing. January 24th, tickets.tonykatz.com. Get your tickets right now. The bourbon, the food, all of it. It's going to be amazing. I can't believe I have to say this out loud. I did not buy a Rolls Royce. I cannot believe I have to say this. So, first of all, Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Live streaming on YouTube. Come check it out for yourself. YouTube.com/Tony Katz. Come be a part of it. I did not get a Rolls. Here's what happened. Yesterday, so Sunday, everything was going fine, going good. I'm posting some things. I'm doing my work. I got hacked. All of a sudden, I can't log into Twitter X. That's weird. I had just changed my password a couple days before. It's very strange. And so I go to it, and the next thing I see is that, I go through the process to like recover something, and it has an email address that's not mine. Literally at that moment, I get a text from a friend of mine. You've been hacked, right? I'm like, how do you know I've been hacked? I expect him to say because I've done it, and now I want all the bourbon. No, DMs started going out. Direct messages started going out from my account from this loser schmuck who's trying to get everybody to buy crypto. And so the post was, hey, look, what did it say, Producer Landon? Look what I got with my crypto earnings. So it said that I have invested, and look at my dream car, and it was a picture of a Rolls-Royce SUV, I believe. So now allow me. I did not, first of all, I was hacked. And what's weird is immediately trolls were all over me about it. So I got to assume one of the trolls did it. I am in charge of these people's lives. It's so insane. Every day is something else. They live and die by me being in their head. It's crazy, surreal. And so first things first, I did not buy a Rolls Royce. I was hacked. Everything's fine now. Hopefully it stays that way. I did not get a Rolls. I am not anti-Rolls, but I don't see me buying a Rolls Royce. Now, I did almost over the weekend buy a Porsche, but it was not a new one. It was used. It was an 81. It's very cool. I might still do it, but the people who know me are like, you'd get a Porsche over a Cadillac? I am looking at a 1974 Eldorado right now that has an interior that looks like your great-grandmother's couch. It's so cool, Landon. That is my speed. So if you ever see a post that somehow I've bought a Rolls Royce, ask yourself, has he put on 100 stations recently? And if not, then no, I didn't get a Rolls. This is Tony Katz today. Crazy. Goodness gracious. Now, here's what's interesting. It used to be, right, I used to sit it this way. Like where you're looking at the camera was right here. And then the smoke would go that way. And now I'm sitting this way, and the smoke is going this way. So I think I have to move my ashtray, which was a gift from a guy by the name of Dale. Dale, I believe his name was. Very, very, very sweet guy. I was doing an event, and he brought it to me. I still have it. Absolutely, I do. Think about it often. Oh my goodness. Now people are texting me to buy the Porsche. It's very cool. Oh, I know. I will show you the car. And yes, I did. First of all, it wasn't an 80s Bronco that I bought. I bought a 1996 full-size Ford Bronco, like the O.J. Simpson, Al Cowling Ford Bronco. I did a bunch of work to it, and I traded it in for something else. It was so much fun. That truck, Big Red, was so much fun. The 81 Porsche, though, is very cool. It's super groovy. Super groovy. I don't feel that I feel I need to be much more responsible than that right now. Man, I'm so embarrassed. What am I doing being responsible like a schmuck? Goodness gracious. So I think Rolls-Royce should now be a sponsor. Immediately, if not sooner. I didn't realize Tim Walz was having a conference. Oh, oh gosh. Oh, we're going to do it. Oh, I've got it right here. Yes. It was a Wysock. I don't think I'm going to. Oh, man. Am I weak enough to be pressured into doing this? Honestly, because I think the answer is maybe. Maybe I am. It's super cool. You know what? I can get it if you all immediately go buy this right here. This is the Quartz chronograph from Flederman von Riest. Love them. Assembled in Indiana. And you can go to vonriest.com and get yours. Use promo code CATS and get your discount. Incredible timepieces. The looks, the styles, the build, the comfort of the clasp and of the band, and all different types. Spectacular. And I just love it. Go to Von Riest. Assembled in Indiana, all different styles. Great stuff that you'll pass down the generations that will last. I don't believe in the disposable world. It should have value. It should last a long time. Go to Von Riest, RIESTE, vonriest.com. Use promo code CATS and get your discount. The rumor mill moved fast this morning, and it turns out to be accurate. Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota. I don't think he sounds like that, but sure. He is not running for re-election. He was, and he has made the difficult decision not to run for re-election. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Translation: this Somali fraud Medicaid scandal that his administration absolutely allowed to happen has just taken over his life, and it will be too difficult for him. So he went from being a vice presidential contender. Let's make sure we're clear. Tim Walz went from being a vice presidential contender to being the top contender to be a contributor at MS Now in 16 months. That is something else. So he had himself a press conference today.
Well, good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. Like many Minnesotans, I have to tell you, I was glad to turn the page on 2025. It was an extraordinarily difficult year for our state, and it ended on a particularly sour note. For the last several years, an organized group of criminals have sought to take advantage of this state's generosity. And even as we make progress in the fight against the fraudsters, we now see an organized group of political actors seeking to take advantage of a crisis.
That's so ugly and so gross. Can we start truly at where we need to start? And that's not even the level of fraud that's taking place, not just in Minnesota, but all across the country, where you have groups of people, not just Somali nationals, engaged in creating these fraudulent daycare centers, claiming they're feeding kids. Nobody's checking. Nobody does the looking. They're taking in millions of dollars individually. There's 27 businesses at this one location. This office complex has 14 businesses exactly the same, sometimes owned by the same people. No one looked. No one cared to look. The fraud is massive and widespread. Massive and widespread, but allow me to start where this story should start. This guy, the governor, who wants to blame people like Nick Shirley and you and me for paying attention. That's what has him angered, that we're paying attention. This guy ran for vice president of the United States. Where was the story about this from the mainstream press? Where were the continual stories about the fraud of the people of Minnesota? There were none. There were none. And you and I, you and me, having a bourbon, sitting on the bar stool, we know the answer to this before anybody says another word. Why were there no stories? Right. You're 1,000% correct, because it would have hurt him and Kamala Harris in beating Donald Trump. So they kept it quiet. I want to make sure that that always stays front and center in our minds, that this is something we should have well known about. And the reason we didn't is because politically, the media did not care about the scandal. They don't care about the scam. They don't care about the grift. They don't care about the fraud. They don't care about the money lost and the people screwed. They care that they win. That's who they are. There is no way this story isn't something that gets discussed during a presidential election when it's a vice presidential candidate who leads the state. And there were people talking about these things on the local level in Minnesota, people like Jay Coles, Kolls, and others, and they deserve our respect and our thanks. We don't get to see every story. We live where we live. We've got the things that we're dealing with, and it's a question of whether things bubble up. In this case, it should have. And I'll say, as a guy who does this, man, I should have seen that. I should have known about that. I should have been talking about it. I should have been engaging in it. And it's a reminder to me to be much more focused on these local stories, even than I already am. But the media that covers things every day, this is a blatant act of suppression. Blatant. And never would have occurred if Walz was a Republican, and you know it, and I know it, and they know it, and he knows it. So he can get as angry at Nick Shirley and the people who have been talking about this story now as he wants. Who cares? He saw the fraud. He allowed the fraud. He continues.
I don't want to mince words here. Donald Trump and his allies in Washington and in St. Paul and online want to make our state a colder, meaner place.
First of all, it's hard to get colder than Minnesota. Secondly, what allies does Donald Trump have in St. Paul? Would someone do me a favor? Someone in the chat room there on the live stream, would you do me a favor and would you look up the registrations in St. Paul, Minnesota, Republican to Democrat, and see what the favorability is to Democrats? You would often see this as a D plus, right? D plus 7, which means registration would favor Democrats by 7 points. In someplace else, it might be Republicans by 4 points. What is the D plus there? St. Paul, Minnesota. I've never looked it up. He just had this press conference. It's the first I'm seeing it, just like you. We're doing this together. What allies does Trump have in St. Paul? It's just such garbage. It's Trump's fault that people are noticing? Listen to his argument. His argument is, how dare you notice and talk about it?
They want to poison our people against each other by attacking our neighbors. And ultimately, they want to take away much of what makes Minnesota the best place in the country to raise a family. They've already begun trying to withhold funds that were meant to help families afford childcare. And they have no intention of stopping there. Make no mistake, we should be concerned about fraud in our state government. We cannot effectively deliver programs and services if we can't earn the public's trust. That's why over the past few years, we've made systemic changes in the way we do business.
Yeah, let's talk about the systemic changes. By the way, Sarah, who runs all our digital, found the number. St. Paul, Minnesota, 71.5% Democrat. What the hell is he saying? What is he saying? Trump's allies in St. Paul, 3 out of every 4 citizens, a Democrat. I'm glad he notices we should do something about fraud. I don't know why he didn't do it. I don't know why he didn't ring the bell and say, hey, Biden administration, help me out with this. Unless, of course, the Biden administration was cool with it.
We've gone to the legislature time and time again to get more tools to combat fraud. We've hired people.
Whoa. What tool did you need to combat fraud? What tool was not out at your disposal to combat fraud? What laws already existed on the books? Why not just not approve anybody? Why not just stop the funding? Stop it cold until you've done an audit of every single child care center. All I know is the woman who runs that stuff was out there saying, we did a look and everybody's on the up and up. And of course, CNN did the same. Well, we called some daycare centers and we were only able to speak to one, but they told us they were totally legit and we believed it. And then we saw them later and they gave us a note written by their mom in crayon. And we were like, oh, now we've got substantial proof. Everything's fine. Those wascally Republicans and their lies. Guys, do you ever wonder why we drink the bourbon? 71%. Democrat, and he thinks that there's some great cabal against him in Minnesota.
We fired people who weren't doing their jobs. We've seen people go to jail for stealing from our state. We've cut off whole streams of funding in partnership with the federal government, where we saw widespread criminal activity. We've put new locks on the doors of our remaining programs, and we've hired a new head of program integrity to make sure that those locks can't be broken. All across this state, Minnesotans are hard at work on this problem.
What did he just say? We put new locks on the doors. Hold on.
To make sure that those locks can't be broken.
Oh, I gotta do it.
All across this, we put new locks on the doors of our remaining programs. And we've hired a new head of program integrity to make sure that those locks can't be broken. All across this state.
Can I get the name of this diversity hire? No. Oh, the new head isn't the DEI thing? Hey, I don't know. I don't know who it is. But what a thing to say. We put locks on doors. Wait, actual locks on doors? Because I was told by the Democrats, of course the doors are already locked. So which locks are we talking about? Let them talk.
On this problem, advocates, administrators, investigators are on the front lines defending the integrity of our state's programs. And I want to give a very heartfelt thank you to all of them. There is more to do. A single taxpayer dollar wasted on fraud should be intolerable. And while there's a role to play for everyone, from the legislature to prosecutors to insurance companies to local and county government, the buck does stop with me. My administration has been taking fast, decisive action to solve this crisis. We'll win the fight against the fraudsters. But the political gamesmanship we're seeing from...
Hold up. What fast, decisive action are you referring to? If I were to engage a bit of paraphrase here, I would say what is fast and decisive is you realizing that the Nick Shirley video and the attention it has garnered and the conversations that have come from it and from the original story by City Journal via the Manhattan Institute, that has caused you to act. This is a great example, an absolutely fantastic example of the difference between the thermostat and the thermometer. The thermometer registers temperature. It takes temperature. The thermostat actually moves the temperature. And what happened was with this Nick Shirley video, this reporting from Christopher Rufo in City Journal, is that it raised the temperature. And now you, reading the temperature, were forced to respond and deal with it. That's how you moved fast.
But the political gamesmanship we're seeing from Republicans is only making that fight harder.
Lie.
We've got Republicans here in the state legislature playing hide and seek with potential whistleblowers.
Lie.
We've got conspiracy theorist right-wing YouTubers breaking into our daycares.
No, they're not.
Demanding access to our children.
That didn't happen.
We've got the President of the United States demonizing our Somali neighbors and wrongfully confiscating funds that Minnesotans rely on.
You can be angry with Trump's words all you want. It does not change what has happened. And this is why Tim Walz is not running for re-election now. He has to focus on this. It ended his political career. And he will be a contributor on MS Now. That is coming. Just wait for it. But blaming Republicans, that's the gamesmanship. We're supposed to be opposed to the fraud. All of it. Honestly, good riddance. I'm Tony Katz. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. I was looking for what's next. An interesting story out of Indiana that has reverberations around the country because this is happening in Oklahoma. This is happening in Charlotte. And a welcome to WBT, Charlotte, North Carolina, where we are now on 5 days a week. I haven't even looked at the website yet. My cigar is giving me a whole heap of issues here. Let me see. Did I make the lineup? Let's take a look at the daily schedule. Oh, look, there I am. There I am right there. They need a new photo. They need a new photo. So they're taking this lovely show of ours and they're going to be playing a little bit later in the day. They're going to play that. I'm overjoyed, thrilled to be with them, thrilled to see the growth of the show overall. It's all good stuff. All good stuff. Should be an interesting 2026. Yeah, so weird thing with the cigars. Lately, over the last like 2 months, I should say, nothing's smoking right for me. Zero. I'm like, maybe it's my humidor and I got to adjust some things. Well, I've been in other places. Nothing's smoking right. Everything's getting plugged up. Now, I have noticed things get too hot sometimes, and therefore it makes the draw impossible. It creates a plug. And I've noticed that I think there's an issue with cigar quality right now with how they're being rolled and things are happening too fast, not enough time is being taken, etc. But it's as if I've forgotten how to smoke a cigar. I have, ladies and gentlemen, the cigar yips. I didn't even know this was possible. So I have to slow down in my cigar smoking. And I was already kind of slow. But clearly I'm doing, because it's only happening to me. None of my colleagues or anything else. I'm like, what is happening? Very, very weird. I don't know if anybody has ever had anything like that, whether it's cigars or something else. But anyway, that's what's happened to me. I appreciate that you like the new set. Thank you for the comments and the commentary. Let me get everything up for everybody right there. Oh, it's too wide. Let's do it tall. Regular's not enough. Angela Ganote over at the local Fox affiliate put this story out. It's a story that could be on your local Fox affiliate. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. An estimated $7 million in cocaine was uncovered in a semi that was driving through an Indiana county over the weekend. Tony Katz today. Replace that, right, with Oklahoma County, Louisiana County, and North Carolina County. And welcome WBT in Charlotte, where this little show is now heard 5 days a week. Guys, can't thank you enough for having us and bringing us in. I got to come for a visit. And me and Brett Winterble, we're just going to smoke cigars. I don't even know if Brett smokes cigars, but that's going to happen. We're going to make this happen. We're going to bring Vince. We're going to bring, I've never met Bo. And we're going to do the whole thing. It's going to be very, very good. We got to make this happen. Someone find me a Charlotte Cigar Lounge. I'm in. 300 pounds of cocaine were found in the sleeper berth of the truck. The two drivers, there's a question of whether or not they're in the country legally. There's a question of how they got these how they got their CDLs. And no, they are people who I have the story correct, came from another country. This stuff is happening everywhere. What we have done, what we have allowed to take place when it comes to these CDLs and the people we have allowed to drive these commercial vehicles. These two, yes, I knew they were not American citizens because they have ICE deportation holds. What are we doing? We don't have enough truckers? Okay. That's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. We have to be very proactive in not allowing this madness to take place, where people are getting killed, drugs are being run, and we have people who are not citizens making this happen. I'm Tony Katz. Now, someone's going to say, should we allow citizens to make this happen? No, but we have laws for this. If we can eliminate, through the elimination of allowing illegal immigrants these types of jobs, we can cut down on this. Why wouldn't we? Why shouldn't we? So here's what we've got, guys. The radio show is in commercial break right now. So we are in commercial break right now. Now, I've got Mamdani. I do also have it's my whiteboard right here. I'm way better than Karl Rove, so don't do that to me. I've got the worst headline of the day. I've got 3 more things, stories that are not being talked about that need to be. So we've got a lot. We have got a lot to get to. And then what is the story that someone outed Delta Force members? Did that actually happen? I've seen a couple people talking about it, but I don't have the story on it. So, producer Landon, you may want to look for this. It involves a guy by the name of Seth Harp. Did he out the addresses of members who are of the military? What? Want to see what that's all about. Including the names of children. Oh. Okay. Well, that's something. That's something indeed. Guys, the show's in break. We'll take the quick break. Hang loose, smoke them if you got them, and we'll be back momentarily. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz today. What are you doing? What do we got here? For every illegal driver, fine their trucking company $50,000 up to the first 50 drivers, then bump it up to $100,000 for every driver after 50, and then impound the trucks to deport the illegals. Well, it's a philosophy. I like it. I like it a lot. It is good to be back. So thank you so very, very much. I will admit, I took more time off in December than I've ever taken off in my life. Some of it was personal, like going to Vegas and eating my face off. Some of it was professional in how I needed to gear up for what's next. But it's just weird the way it worked out. Never in my life have I taken off that much time. And Dark Rogue is going to be out of town for the event on the 24th. What is this? Trump 1 year later, the Red Tie Gala, tickets.tonykatz.com. Get your tickets right now. It's going to be such a good time with the bourbon and the food. And even though it might be cold, there may still be cigars because you know who I am. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Tickets.tonykatz.com. There it is right there. You got to be there. We're coming back to the show. So let's do it to it. Nicolas Maduro was arraigned. Drug trafficking charges. And that's the just a little bit of it. That's all that is. It is all the other things, all the other pieces that are involved here with who Maduro was, what was happening in Venezuela, and what this story is to the world. Tony Katz today. Sometimes I forget if I say hello. Live streaming. We're on the YouTube, youtube.com/Tony Katz, on Twitter X, Tony Katz, Facebook, Tony Katz Radio. The drug trafficking charges, this was the reporting from Spectrum, I believe, via C-SPAN.
New Yorkers and protesters alike, since this story broke, tell us what you're seeing out there right now. This was where Maduro is being held. Of course, as I said, he's in court now, but where he's being held.
Yeah, Shannon, on Saturday night, there were hundreds of Venezuelans who were outside the Metropolitan Detention Center, absolutely jubilant. They were crying tears of joy. They had Venezuelan flags draped around them. They were singing songs and dancing because for them, the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro was a huge deal, and for them, it was something to celebrate. Now, today, there's not as much action here at the Metropolitan Detention Center. That action is outside the United States Southern District Court. But earlier this morning, around 7:15 a.m., Nicolas Maduro was transported by helicopter from here to that Wall Street helipad and then taken to 500 Pearl Street in order to be arraigned. And outside the United States District Court down there, there is a bit of a clash going on between people who are against the decision to capture the Venezuelan president and Venezuelans who are absolutely thrilled about the military operation that captured Maduro.
Let me translate that for you. White liberal women are very angry and communists are very angry. People who have had to live under communists and white liberal women are overjoyed. Communists are a real problem. And the real problem is that they're real stupid, dangerous, violent. They have no regard for history or for facts. Rather, they have only their ideology to keep them warm. Which brings us to one of the ugliest things that we have seen in a long time. This inauguration of Zohran Mamdani. Now, if you heard me on Newsmax last week, I was very, very clear that there are definitely New Yorkers who have my sympathies. They didn't vote for this. Mamdani got just over 1 million votes with just over 2 million votes cast. There's no massive groundswell for this. New Yorkers didn't show up for their own elections. Okay, what do you want from me? It's not my fault. It's their fault. And yes, there are New Yorkers who don't want this, but they voted for this. They voted for a guy who the first thing he did was say anything that was ever said about anti-Semitism, we don't talk about it anymore, because of course he's an anti-Semite. The guy is anti-capitalist. He's anti-American. New Yorkers, they bought their tickets. They knew what they were getting into. I say let them crash. I said that repeatedly on Newsmax last week. I don't feel anything for them. What am I supposed to do? Someone, I spoke earlier with Major Mike Lyons, a retired United States Army. We're going to talk to him. I'll share with you his interview coming up. And he breaks into great detail how the military prepared for this operation against Maduro, what this means, how this engages the world stage, the Russia conversation, the China conversation, of course, what's going on with Iran, because there are massive protests in Iran right now. The media refuses to cover that story. And it's very possible the Ayatollah is going to have to flee for his life. Trump is reshaping the world. And man, Democrats certainly hate it because Joe Biden could only reshape an ice cream cone. But this was Mamdani. This was Mamdani at his inauguration. And Zohran Mamdani is a communist. We're not debating here. We're not going to agree to disagree. He is what he is. All communists are dangerous people because knowing the reality of the horror of their ideology, they continue to push it. The horror is clearly something that is attractive and thrilling to them in a way that I cannot comprehend, if only because I'm not a ghoulish monster. It is not that there aren't people that I might disagree with politically or disagree with me politically. If you favor communism, you are a monster. Mamdani, Bernie Sanders, Ocasio-Cortez. These are people who don't believe in the America you and I believe in. And the people who support them don't believe in America at all. And their anger, for example, as we've stated about Maduro, is that how dare you arrest somebody who supports our communist dream, even though it's not a dream for anybody who lives in Venezuela. The progressive, the communists will always tell you, see, that's because communism hasn't actually been implemented properly yet. See, that's the problem. We need to do it better. We need to do it properly. See, no, the problem is it's those Republicans. It's the Republicans' fault. That's it. It's the Republicans. What does that have to do with Venezuela? It doesn't matter. We got to blame the Republicans. It's always somebody else's fault as to why their disastrous ideology doesn't work, as opposed to the recognition of, hey guys, you know what? This ideology sucks. We should not do that. We should try something else. Capitalism is better than communism, always, every day. And anyone who doesn't believe that is wrong, I'll debate gladly on the show. Call in, feel free. Feel free. I am more than happy to rip asunder the radicalness of a position that somehow capitalism is bad. What a foolish thing to say. Absolutely foolish. Ghoulish to think that somehow communism has a value. And you saw all these protesters out there over the weekend, and they're wearing keffiyehs. Again, the Red-Green Alliance, something that we've been discussing here, this connection point between the communist and the Islamist for the desire for the destruction of Western civilization, destroying America. And then they'll fight each other. But they have to destroy us first. They have to destroy Western civilization first. And that's why we have to vote on November 3rd. We have to win. They have to lose. Because they can't run a society. But they're desperate still, even knowing the truth, to push their ideology on you, me, and we. This was Mamdani's inaugural address. Listen.
Long these communities have existed as distinct from one another. We will draw this city closer together. We will replace the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism. If our campaign demonstrated that the people of New York yearn for solidarity, then let this government foster it. Because no matter what you eat, how you pray, or where you come from, the words that most define us are the two we all share: New Yorkers. Long.
Can't describe the savageness in this statement that you heard first.
These communities have existed as distinct from one another. We will draw this city closer together. We will replace the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism.
That is a diseased mind at play. The warmth of collectivism can be seen in Venezuela, where the people eat pigeons and are now cheering that Maduro has been arrested. That is reality. People who have lived under the hellscape and pseudo-intellectuals like Zohran Mamdani, who want to institute this violence upon the people, and watch and you listen to the lemmings who cheer for this. In his cabinet, he is putting C. Weaver, CEA. Now, I got to admit, I wasn't too familiar with C. Weaver. But C. Weaver is the kind of person who was writing in 2019, private property, including and kind of especially home ownership, is a weapon of white supremacy masquerading as wealth building. What? How is private property white supremacy? Now, the communist doesn't believe in private property. They believe they should be allowed to control everything about you. And you already see Mamdani going after landlords. Mamdani will move heaven and earth to take property away from individuals. As a matter of just understanding, I have often referred to the fact that it's not about property, it's the right to say no. If you do not have the right to say no, you are not free. You're just not. You have to be able to say no to things. But the argument is that if you cannot own real property, you are a slave. This government, this Mamdani government, wants to take private property away from you. C. Weaver, spelled CEA. Maybe it's Sia. Maybe it's Sia. She has also written, there is no such thing as a good gentrifier. Only people who are actively working on projects to dismantle white supremacy and capitalism, and people who aren't. That's from July 2018. Impoverish the white middle class. Homeownership is racist. Failed public policy. That's what she's written. This white woman has written repeatedly. Well, she is going to be the tenant director for Mamdani. In her own words.
I think the reality is that for centuries, we've really treated property as an individualized good and not a collective good. And we are going to transitioning to treating it as a collective good and towards a model of shared equity will require that we think about it differently. And it will mean that families, especially white families, but some POC families who are homeowners as well, are going to have a different relationship to property than the one that we currently have.
The only way to take the property is via the barrel of a gun. So let us start with the fact that the communist is violent, the communist is dangerous, and the communist will hurt you to get their way. They will utilize the courts, they will utilize the law, they will send police down or whatever forces they have to take from you what is yours through your sweat and through your labor or through your inheritance, and they will say it belongs to them, that they somehow know better to utilize it. They somehow know better to operate it than you. The collective knows better. These are violent, terrible people. They have to lose elections. And we now get to watch New York fall apart as a lesson for the rest of us. Don't do that. But make sure we start where we start. All communists are violent. Every communist policy is a policy of violence. Bernie Sanders is a communist and he's violent. Mamdani is a communist and he's violent. AOC is a communist and she's violent. They are all violent. Talk about the Green New Deal. What wasn't violent about telling people what they can drive, what they can't drive, forcing people into things that they didn't want, and telling people when they can or can't operate, for example, their air conditioner, like you saw in California, where they're desperate to move everybody onto electric so they can control the grid. Nobody's making anything up here. All we're doing is noticing what these people are. They are saying we're coming for the property. White people who own property. Well, that's the problem. That's not the problem. Property is good. We're going to come after the landlords. We're going to institute rent control. Best of luck finding an apartment in New York. Everything that Trump did in New York. They hate Trump for this. They hate Trump for that. Those buildings Trump built are still bringing tax dollars into New York. Trump did something for New York. Mamdani has done zero. De Blasio did zero. Eric Adams did zero. Nothing. Kathy Hochul, nothing. Trump created jobs, created tax benefits and opportunities, and has created real economic value. Communism creates nothing. It takes from the producers. That's all it does. It's all it does. So, while the people of Venezuela cheer that maybe the communist hellscape is over, the people of New York are cheering to implement the communist hellscape as if somehow they can do it better. You know, some people are really slow learners. And no one should be like New Yorkers. I'm Tony Katz. So Maduro has entered the not guilty plea. That's where we're at right now. And now is heading to prison, pleading not guilty on drug trafficking charges. I will go over what he said. I have a bunch of other stuff to get to. Sometimes 3 hours is not enough. But I will get to that. And then I've got this doxing story here as well. So this guy's a lowlife. Coming back in 1 minute. There we go. All right, coming back here. Thank you guys for being here. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. It's in conjunction with the radio show, which is heard across the country. And so we wait for the show to get back from break before we get into it. But we do talk here. So show's back. Let's go do some work, shall we? Three more things to get to, some stories that are out there that not enough people are talking about, and this one is going to grow. This guy, Seth Harp, I saw Laughing Wolf talking about this. Good dude. Is Laughing Wolf over at Red State, or is he at Town Hall? He's a little bit everywhere. This guy doxed a Delta Force commander. Seth Harp, an investigative reporter, an author, had his post blocked on X. He doxed a Delta Force commander for kidnapping the rightful president of Venezuela. First of all, he's not the rightful president of Venezuela, is Maduro, who pled not guilty. I'll get to that. This is the current commander of Delta Force, whose men just invaded a sovereign country, killed a bunch of innocent people, kidnapped the rightful president. He then included a screenshot that contained personal information about the commander and, I believe, about the commander's children. His book, The Fort Bragg Cartel, Drug Trafficking and Murder in the Special Forces, is being turned into a TV show by HBO. You're gonna put together a show with a guy who doxes the names of children? Doxing, right? Exposing the names of children. Scumbags exist everywhere. Then January 6th. Did you know that's called Divorce Day? There's something very ugly about this. There's a spike in divorces that takes place in January, seemingly because couples go through Christmas and like, all right, I'm never doing that again. We're done here. January 6th. And they consider January a divorce month because people are thinking about a fresh start. That is a societal ill, kids. And then there's Tony DeCopel, who's going to be the new anchor of CBS Evening News. And he wants you to know.
And I get it. I get it because I've been hearing about it from just about everybody for more than 20 years as I've traveled America on this assignment or that. My mom's neighbors in West Virginia, my own neighbors in New York City. Thousands and thousands of conversations in between. Sometimes people want to talk to me about our coverage of NAFTA or the Iraq War. Other times it's all about Hillary Clinton's emails or Russiagate. Or more recently, COVID lockdowns, Hunter Biden's laptop, or the president's fitness for office.
So he's decided he's going to report the news no matter what. And the left is angry with him for wanting to report the news. True story. I'm Tony Katz. Oh, man, we came upon that quick. Are we on the right clock, producer Landon? Because that was moving. All right. Good Lord. Everything's moving. Meanwhile, John, thank you, man. Thank you. Like this is good, right? So those are my papers behind me. That's some work I have to do today. So it's not a card table, Freddie. I think Freddie asked. I mean, you can play card. You can flip it over. It's poker table. Yeah, so you can do that. But I don't think it's a card table. I don't know if that's what you. It's not a pub table because that would be higher. It's a table. It's chairs, and they are comfy. And for the record, I did buy it used, right? Like my Rolls Royce. I did not buy a Rolls Royce. No, this was never a garage. This is what we built. Added this on to be a place where not only I could have a studio, but I could also have a cigar or two or three. No matter who you are, I don't care how big your house is. I do not care how much money you have. Smoking inside a house is very difficult. Because when you smoke inside a house, if you do not have a separate system for your HVAC, it's going to get everywhere. It's going to get sucked into the return and it's going to blow out. No filter is going to catch it all, the smoke or the smell. It's just not going to happen. So I wanted to be able to do eat, drink, smoke here. I wanted to be able to do meetings here. I wanted to be able to do other content here. And so I said, I'm going to build this thing. So I built it. I will tell you right now, revelation. Life-changing is the better word for how I'm able to engage, how I'm able to enjoy, how I'm able to entertain. Because the family will come in here. We watch movies in here. I have had 9-10 people in here all smoking. I can do any content I want to. I've got different, I've got this main area for the show. We've just now opened it up to show the rest of the studio, but I've got other spots where I can do things. It has been absolutely terrific. Absolutely fantastic. And I worth every penny. Absolutely worth every penny is this right here. Glad I did it. I would do it again. Do have a bunch of audio to get to. What was purchased on Facebook, I believe? What was a Facebook Marketplace item? The table and chairs. Now, you see the wingback back there? I've got two of those. The wingbacks were found on the side of the road. My wife found them, cleaned them up. It's a true story. The speaker over here, which is a Bose 901. That was a Facebook find. Back to the show.
combat veteran who's seen the consequences of boots on the ground. When a 5-time draft dodger like Donald Trump talks about it and bangs war drums from the safety and security of his resort in Florida, I, of course, bristle. Because I learned a long time ago, Jen, that when folks in Washington bang the war drums and talk tough and pound their chest about what we're going to do and sending boots on the ground, they're not talking about their kids. They're not talking about their family. They're not the ones that are going to have to go do the thing. They're talking about young kids, our brothers and sisters, our sons and daughters, people from rural towns, working class Americans like I grew up with that are going to have to pick up rifles, jump in the tanks, jump in the ships and helicopters and actually do the tough work.
That's Representative Jason Crow, Democrat, with the same garbage argument that I have heard my entire life. And I have always known that it is an argument of children, but I am much more comfortable with saying, my God, what a stupid argument. And I would say that to the congressman, to his nose, I do not care if you served. It's always somebody else's kid. We don't know that? We don't get it? What kind of leftist Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens ridiculous argument is this? It's always somebody else's kid, Congressman. That doesn't mean it doesn't get done. And you know who sends somebody else's kid? Somebody from far away. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. That means we should not indeed go to war for light and transient causes. That does not mean we don't do anything anywhere. This is about your hatred of Trump, not because you have some concern about members in the military. This is me, a man who never served, saying it to you, Congressman Crow. Your argument is garbage. The question is, should we have? Now, you can ask the constitutional question. Did we just engage in acts of war with Venezuela, and acts of war have to be declared by Congress? That's a legitimate question, a worthy one that we should discuss. A draft dodger bangs his chest and sends other people's kids to fight? The draft dodger was elected president twice and very possibly 3 times. Can I help you? He's the commander-in-chief, and you're not. And you made a video telling members of the military not to listen to the commander-in-chief. Is that what you're angry about, Congressman Crow? Are you just angry about the fact that they listened and they did their job and they trained and they were efficient and they were effective and they got the target and got out with their lives? Are you upset that they weren't killed so you could scream about how Donald Trump got troops killed, never once bringing up Abby Gate and Joe Biden to Jen Psaki as you sit there on her show on MS Now and pretend that she wasn't part of a cover-up? Is this your argument, Congressman Crow? One of the great flaws in our society, sir, is that people who served somehow, and not all, I shouldn't say all, so maybe I have to be a little more descriptive. There's a segment of our population that believes if you didn't serve, you don't get to speak. There's a segment of our population that believes if you're not a woman, you don't get to talk about abortion, which is amazing because they finally understand what a woman is. To both of those arguments, and both of those groups of people, I say pound sand. I'm an American citizen with a mind. I'll talk about the military all I want. I'll discuss the fact that we don't have a Navy that's strong enough yet. We need 340 ships, and we need to start building yesterday. I would say to the President of the United States, we're not building fast enough. I would say to anybody who tells me I can't talk about an abortion because I'm a man, abortion's murder. I don't need to be a man or a woman to be able to understand that it's murder. It doesn't change reality. The fact that I can't have an abortion doesn't change whether or not I could discuss whether or not we should be a country that engages in abortion. Because if we're going to say you must be X to do Y, I guess we should go back to only landowners voting. If the Democratic Party wants to start a fight with me, I'm all in, because there's always room for a butt kicking. The argument is bunk. Now, I should be clear that the argument sometimes comes from the political right, that if you didn't serve in the military, you don't get a say. Of course I do. I'm a citizen of the United States. Of course I get a say. And if you want me to respect the service and then tell me I don't get to talk about things, I don't know why you're asking for my respect, because you ain't going to get it. You don't deserve it. Of course, it's always somebody who isn't serving, sending other people's kids into harm's way. That's why when we elect a commander-in-chief, we should make sure that they have got the temperament to do the job properly, and the military has the skill set to do the job effectively, and they have the proper training, they have the proper techniques, they have the proper hardware, they have the proper attitude, they know their assignment, they know their mission, they're practiced and ready for it. So when the moment comes, whether it's a bombing raid of nuclear facilities in Iran or taking Maduro out of Venezuela, they can do so with such unbelievable accuracy that the rest of the world is left saying, holy cow, did you see that? Which is exactly what took place. I would argue to the chagrin of Congressman Crow, and I'm going to keep saying that. He can come on the show and we can discuss it. Maduro has pled not guilty. He is calling himself an innocent man, saying, I was captured. He said, when he asked for his plea, I'm innocent, I'm not guilty, I am a decent man, the president of my country. But he is not the president of his country. The election results show he is not the president of his country. And he stayed in power, and he jailed dissidents. Now, right now in Venezuela, an interesting thing is taking place. Delcy Rodriguez is in charge. That is the vice president, a technocrat, as described. And you'll note there's been no move whatsoever to bring Gonzalez into the presidential palace, who won the last election. And there's been no move as of yet to bring Maria Corina Machado in. Who's Maria Corina Machado? You remember her. She won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2025, and she's the one who came out and said, thank you, President Trump, for being so supportive. She handled it very well. She is a Venezuelan politician and an activist pushing against the Maduro regime. She is not in charge. Well, what exactly is going on here? What exactly is happening here? Why haven't there been moves to say this is the duly elected president, he's in charge, get rid of the whole Maduro regime? We should be clear that what we're seeing is still this regime and its remnants holding on, and that this military and others have found no reason to sway yet. So there's a money conversation, there's a fear conversation, a host of things. The vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, has stated that she wants to find a way. First of all, they want Maduro back. Best of luck there. Work a way to create a relationship with the United States. Yeah, you should be afraid. I mean, they should be. Which is really a conversation for the rest of the world as well. When the Israelis engaged the pager attack against Hezbollah, the pager attack showed what the Israelis were capable of. Very often, what you realize from these things is that you don't want to actually show what you're capable of. Because by showing what you're capable of, now people can be aware of what you're capable of. It's better to keep them guessing. But the Israelis decided at that time that it was the right move to make. They had a chance to really weaken this terrorist regime. Do so. They did it. I do not know if the military wanted to show, the U.S. military wanted to show that they have the capability of taking helicopters, landing at a military base, killing anybody who gets in their way, grabbing the target, and extracting them in 6 minutes. Someone pointed out on Twitter X, which was great. If you saw Stranger Things, the finale, spoiler alert. The speech that Will Byers gives coming out of the closet took more time than it took the U.S. military to land at a Venezuelan military base where Maduro is guarded by Cubans. Take out the guards, get Maduro, and get him out. I mean, that's unbelievable. And then there was, you must have seen this already. You must have seen Marco Rubio on with Margaret Brennan, who hosts Face the Nation over there. And she's confused and she's lost and she's curious.
Why the Trump administration decided to leave it intact and only arrest Nicolas Maduro and his wife, the person who controls the police, the chief thug, Diaz-Cabello. He's the interior minister. He's been indicted by the United States. He was in that indictment the administration released. He's a narco terrorist. There's a $25 million price on his head. He's still in place. The defense minister, who has deep ties to Russia, $15 million price on his head. He is still in place. I'm confused. Are they still wanted by the United States? Why didn't you arrest them if you are taking out the narco terrorist regime?
You're confused? I don't know why that's confusing to you.
They're still in power.
It's very simple. You're not going to go in and wrap up. But you can't go. You're going to go in and suck up 5 people. They're already complaining about this one operation. Imagine the howls we would have from everybody else if we actually had to go and stay there 4 days to capture 4 other people. We got the top priority. The number one person on the list was the guy who claimed to be the president of the country that he was not. And he was arrested along with his wife, who was also indicted. And that was a pretty sophisticated and frankly complicated operation.
It was.
It is not easy to land helicopters in the middle of the largest military base in the country. The guy lived on a military base. Land within 3 minutes, kick down his door, grab him, put him in handcuffs, read him his rights, put him in a helicopter, and leave the country without losing any American or any American assets. That's not an easy mission. And you're asking me, why didn't we do that in 5 other places at the same time? I mean, that's absurd.
Marco Rubio is so good. He's so good. It is absurd. It is absurd. It's absurd to think that Maduro was actually the president. It's absurd. But Maduro has said not guilty. He thinks himself decent and the president of his country. This trial will go on. We'll see how it plays out. But for the people upset that Trump engaged this operation, that is all for show. The Biden-Harris administration had a $25 million bounty on Maduro's head. This is all about Trump hate and not about anything in reality. These people wouldn't know reality if it bit them. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Yeah, I just saw this. Did you catch this? So there's a post from Homeland Security saying that Hilton hotels they really did. They won't service DHS law enforcement. They went to go book rooms. Hilton canceled their reservations? No. Oh, they published the emails. No. Oh, are they insane? Are you insane? Oh, I've got it. I've got the post. Are you kidding? And we thought we were done with the day. Oh, Lord. Are you insane? The Homeland Security has the emails from the Hilton Hotel canceling them, and they published them. They put them on Twitter. Oh, no. Producer Landon, would you look up what Hilton stock price is right now, please? Thank you there, Producer Landon. It's Producer Landon, everybody. Everybody needs themselves a Producer Landon at least once in their lives. Oh, right. So they're $289. Hilton Holdings Worldwide has basically been at the same place for the last 5 days. And they did have a little bit of a jump over the last month. Well, considering the holidays are here, or were here, that makes sense. I wonder what's going to happen next. I wonder what's about to go on. Huh. Fascinating. That's insane. So I was asked whether or not this is a legit story. Homeland Security posting on Twitter X that Hilton Hotels is denying them access. And they published the tweets on X where they say after further investigation online, or they published the emails on Twitter X. After further investigation online, we have found information about immigration work connected with your name, and we will be canceling your upcoming reservation. This email is in regards to the reservation you made with the Hampton Inn Lakeville property. We have noticed an influx of government reservations made today that have been made for DHS, and we are not allowing any ICE or immigration agents to stay at our property. If you are with DHS or immigration, let us know, as we will have to cancel your reservation. What? Are you certifiably insane, Hilton? By the way, we took a quick look. Hilton stock, as I'm talking to you right now, 288.67. It's been in basically the same range for the last month. That's crazy. That is crazy that they canceled the reservations. I'll get more on that story when I have it. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz Today. Certifiable. That's nuts. Absolutely nuts. Randolph and Mortimer Duke right there. Sell, sell, sell. Next, the Florida concentrated orange juice. We're gonna get to that. Guys, I appreciate you. I thank you like you wouldn't believe for being here. Don't forget to join me. Tickets.TonyKatz.com, the bourbon, the food, Trump's first year, the highs, the lows, and how we win the midterms. How we're going to use everything that happened to go about obtaining victory. And I'm telling you right now, this is an economy election. Everything about a midterm would lead you in that direction, except has this Maduro thing and the response to it, to which the Democrats have responded so poorly. So poorly. I have said so online. I'm saying so here. Axios is now writing about it. Could this become a national security election? I mean, is that even possible? I was going to say I don't have the answer. I think I do. And I think maybe. I think most definitely maybe. Guys, I appreciate you like you wouldn't believe. It's good to be back. I appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on X, on Facebook, all the places. Just look for Tony Katz and say, yep, I'm all in on that. I'm all in on that. I can't thank you guys enough for being here and being part of the show, being part of what we do. I am back tomorrow, so you should be here for that. Get your tickets, tickets.TonyKatz.com. I got another hour of the radio show coming at WIBC.com, so be sure to listen live to that, and I will catch you later. Take care, guys.